Okay, year 6, so this is your Wednesday maths lesson for volume. So we're still looking at the volume of cubes and cuboids. Okay, so just to get us started, I want you to do these division sums just as a little starter. Now you can see on the side, I've had a go at the first one for you, okay, and using the short method. So we've looked at how many 12s go into 3, well none, so let's carry that 3. How many 12s go into 8, 12, 24, 36, that's 3, but you've got 2 left over because you have 36, but the number's 38, so you carry that 2. How many 12s go into 24? 2. How many 12s go into 9? 0. So that would be your answer. So there will be some remainders. So pause here and have a go, and then we can carry on with the rest of the lesson. So looking at these shapes, what do you know about them? Think about things like, are they 2D or are they 3D? What does that word vertices mean? Can anyone remember? Think about faces. How many faces does that shape have? What do we know in terms of volume? How can we work out the volume of that shape? There are 3 things that we need to work out the volume. What are those? Could you label them on that shape? Okay, have a go, maybe jot some ideas down, and then we can go through it. So it's a 3D shape, okay? Vertices were corners, and we need length, height, and width for our volume. They're the 3 things we need. Now, I'm not going to label them for you yet. We will go through that later on in the video, okay? So, what do you think these different parts are? I gave you a clue, okay? There's length, height, and width. Can you label those parts? All right? There we go. So we've got length along the bottom here, the length of the shape, width at the back. Sometimes it's called depth, but we're going to stick with width. And then we've got height at the top. Okay, how tall something is. So how do you know what the other measurements are? Okay, so if you've got the length, how do you know what the width and height are? Could you maybe have a go, talk about it, maybe jot some ideas down yourself? What would you need? How would you work it out? What do you know about this shape? What do you know about the sides of this shape? Maybe think about it. So just to really understand what volume is, can you answer these 2 questions? What is volume? When might we use volume? So think back to our measurement lessons. Think about what did we measure volume in? Okay, what was that? How was that different to here? So pause, maybe write a definition, and then we can go through it all together. All right. So volume is the amount of space that a subject or substance or object occupies, okay? So it's, think about filling up a glass. It's how much space that juice in that glass fills up, okay? And we use it when we're filling things with liquid, okay? Or things like take up space, so putting things on a shelf, okay? Or putting shelves up between 2 walls, things like that. Okay, so we can talk about the volume of 3D shapes like cubes and cuboids, which we've seen previously. So we know our volume formula. We know it's length times width times height, and we've got those length, width and height labelled underneath, okay, for 2 different cuboids. Notice this one on the left is a cube and this is a cuboid, okay? So you know, if we went back to that problem where you just had the 6 as your length there, you know that all of these sides are the same. This is a cuboid, it's got a square face, so you know all the lengths of the sides are the same in a square, it's the same in a cube, so you could have worked that out just from that one side, okay? But it's different with the cuboid. You would need to have the sides, okay, or you need to have at least 2 to be able to work out the other one, plus the volume. All right, so what would the volume of each shape be? 5 times 5 times 5, 8 times 3 times 5. Have a go. Okay, so does it matter which way round we multiply the numbers? Why? Why not? Maybe give it a go, swap it round, maybe do 9 times 4 times 7 or 7 times 9 times 4 and see if you get the same answer. Okay, if we do 4 times 4 times 4, we're always going to get the same answer. Okay, so remember 4 times 4 is 16, and then we need to do 16 times 4, okay, which is 64. All right. Okay, so is there a more efficient method for solving this question? Remember what I said. What did we say about those sides? How could we work it out? We know that it's a cube, so what do all those sides have in common? Do we need any more information than this? Okay, think about that word cube and the little power of 3 that we had next to it. 7 cubed. Would you get the same answer as 7 times 7 times 7? Have a think. So now I want you to do your tasks which are in your resources. So there's your workbook pages plus some challenges for you. I want everybody to have a go at least 2 of those challenges. I'm going to carry on and do tomorrow's lesson in the same video. So this next lesson is Thursday for you, and then you can just pause it when you need to. Okay, so this is Thursday's lesson, and just as a little starter, a little warm-up to refresh what we've done, just looking at percentages. Now I've done here an example of finding 25% of 500. So we know 25% is a quarter, so you could just divide 500 by 4, which you can see that I've done there and got 125. However, we also know that a quarter is half and half again, so you could half 500, which would give you 250, and then half 250, which again would give you the same answer of 125. So there's more than one way of working these out. And then I've just here for the 75% one, I've given you a couple of options. You could find 50% and 25% and add those two numbers together. Or we know that 75% is 3 quarters, so you could find 1 quarter by dividing 500 by 4, which we've done here, and timesing that answer by 3 to get 3 quarters. Have a think, which option's better, which one's more time efficient, which one helps you. You decide and then complete the rest of those percentages questions, please. So, what did we learn in the previous lesson? We looked at how to label length, height and width. We looked at volume, the definition of volume, that it is the space that an object or substance occupies. Okay, so it could be filling books on a bookshelf, it could be putting liquid into a object, a glass. Okay, that's what we define volume as. And we decided that actually it doesn't matter which way you multiply the numbers, as long as you multiply those numbers you will get the same answer. Okay, we discussed about actually a cube, all of the sides are the same length, so you'd only need one side to be able to work out the volume, okay? Whereas with a cuboid, with the different lengths, you would need more than one. And we also need to remember that volume is centimetres cubed or metres cubed, whatever unit, but we need that cubed at the end, okay? And we actually looked at, for the square, 7 cubed is the same as 7 times 7 times 7, okay? So when we looked at 7 squared, it was 7 times 7, and we needed to remember 7 cubed was 7 times 7 times 7. Now you know why, okay? So again, looking at this volume formula, length times width times height, okay, for a cube or a cuboid. So again, have a practice, just quickly, what information's missing? Could you change the question? Could you put this into a word problem maybe, so that I can see in your resources? That would be really, really good. Just play around with it and have a see. So why doesn't it matter what order you multiply in? Because we're still multiplying those 3 numbers. We know that when we multiply, it doesn't matter what order. So even if it's 2 numbers or 3 numbers, it does not matter what order, they are still all being multiplied. You might find it easier to multiply 6 by 2 and then multiply that answer by 4, or you might find it easy to do 4 times 2, which is 8, and you know 8 sixes are 48. Okay, so it might also help you to rearrange the order to help your multiplication sums as well, whichever times tables you are more comfortable with. So the volume of this shape is 90 centimetres cubed. What could the 2 missing measurements be? Okay, is there more than one possibility? So if you've worked out one answer, could you find a different answer? Okay, you know that the height and the width aren't going to be the same in this cuboid. Okay, so there might be more than one. So you know that it's 90 centimetres cubed, okay, the whole volume. So you know that it's 9 times something else to make 90. How could you work out what those missing things are. Okay, trial it with some numbers, maybe pick 2, pick 3. What could you do? If you did 90 divided by 9, what would you get? Right, 10. Okay, so how else, what ways could you make 10? 5 and 2, 1 and 10. What other ways could you use to make 10? Okay, because we know that whatever those two question marks multiply by, they have to equal 10, because 10 times 9 is 90. So you need some multiplication facts that will give you the answer of 10. So there may well be more than one possibility. So you need to look at how can you use the first cuboid to help me work out the volume of the second cuboid. Okay, so you know what's the relationship between 5 and 2.5? What's the relationship between 6 and 12? And can that help you? So if you work out 5 times 3 times 6, okay, so 5 times 3 is 15. 15 times 6 is 90. Okay, so then what do you notice if you've halved this and you've halved, but you haven't changed your other one? What might your answer be? Have a think. What would you need? Was there an easier way to do it? Can you think of more than one way? Have a go, write your answers down and pop them in your assignments, and I can have a look at them for you, and if there's any struggling we can make another video. Okay, so here's just an example kind of test question. Calculate the missing length on cuboid B. Okay, so what's the relationship first between A and B? They have the same volume, right? But what do you notice about A compared to B? Well, A's a cube, so what is special about the sides? They're going to be the same. So you know that it's going to be 6 times 6 times 6. So if you worked out that volume of 6 times 6 times 6, you'd be able to find out the overall volume of B, and then you would be able to work out that question mark. See if you can do that, year 6, and post your answers on the assignment for you, and then we can go through that in another video if you are struggling. Okay, so if you work out the volume of the cuboid A, which is cube A, which is 6 times 6 times 6, then you know that that volume is the same volume for B, so you know what 6 times 4 is, then you'll have to work out what this question mark is to get the same volume. Okay? Okay, and now you have your worksheet to do and your challenge. Please make sure you attempt at least 2 of these challenges, year 6. Okay?